My name is Clara, and I'm 30 years old, residing in New York City's Little Germany neighborhood. I live alone in an apartment conveniently located near my workplace, which simplifies my daily routine since I supervise a well-known clothing store in the city. My life is generally calm and free of major complications. Most of my time is devoted to work, and when I'm not at the store, I tend to stay home. Unlike many, I don't go out frequently, and my circle of friends is quite small. Being more reserved, I genuinely appreciate the peace that comes from my own space. This might explain why forging new connections and starting a relationship feels exceptionally daunting. It's tough to encounter intriguing people when you seldom venture outside. Wouldn't you agree? My introspective nature has instilled in me a comfort with solitude. Throughout my younger years, I've struggled with romantic relationships. My most serious one was tumultuous, leaving me with deep emotional scars. During that phase of my life, I was fully invested, putting forth every effort to make things work. The betrayals I've faced are countless. No matter my efforts, it always seemed insufficient. The most profound hurt came from realizing I was being taken advantage of. Yet, for some unfathomable reason, I continued to hold on. Perhaps it was loneliness or the naive hope that love could eventually make everything right. I learned the hard way that my dedication was not reciprocated. In fact, I've been single for so long that it's hard to remember anything different. However, this doesn't mean I don't know how to enjoy life. Whenever I'm feeling low, I turn to a dating app, and meeting someone interesting is relatively easy for someone like me. Being attractive certainly helps. Additionally, I've come to appreciate the value of my own company and exploring my desires independently. Getting to know my own body has been an incredible journey, and over time, I've experimented with various toys and accessories, each offering unique sensations. My intimate life underwent a significant change after my best friend Maya made a truly unconventional suggestion. I'll briefly share how we met, as the story is filled with surprises. Trust me, it's still relevant. It won't disappear. I assure you, you'll enjoy everything I'm about to share. Maya was one of the women my ex-boyfriend cheated on me with. Before we proceed, I want to clarify that Maya was unaware he had a girlfriend, let alone that it was me. In fact, she was the one who tipped me off about the whole situation. It all began at a party in a nightclub in the city. They shared a kiss, but it was fleeting, typical of casual encounters where no one truly knows each other. 2 weeks later, while scrolling through a social network, Maya stumbled upon his profile by chance. When she opened his page, she saw multiple pictures of us together, clearly couple moments that made her uncomfortable. Determined to understand more, she decided to dig deeper. That's how, by following the tags in the photos, she found my profile and reached out to me without hesitation. She told me everything: the kiss, his carefree attitude that night, and how he appeared completely uncommitted. The news took me by surprise, but it wasn't entirely shocking. I had suspected something was off. I just needed proof. That conversation with Maya motivated me to investigate further. Soon, I uncovered several other betrayals, confirming all my suspicions. Rather than becoming adversaries after this revelation, something unexpected blossomed between Maya and me. We became close friends. She was honest with me from the very beginning and helped me see the true nature of the man I was involved with. I expressed my gratitude for her courage, and from that moment on, our friendship only grew stronger. This happened years ago, and since then, we've maintained a very close bond. Before we dive deeper into this heartfelt narrative, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like to show your support and that you're enjoying our dynamic. Alongside being Maya's best friend, I developed a unique connection with her husband, Ethan. He's an attractive man in his 40s, slightly older than us, and leads a very stable life. Ethan and Maya have what many people dream of: a home, cars, motorcycles, frequent travels, and a sound financial situation. They met at work and have been married for 6 years. When Maya first introduced me to Ethan, they were still in the early stages of their relationship. That's when I started noticing something odd. The way he looked at me was disconcerting, almost as if I were an irresistible temptation and he a man yearning for something just out of reach. At first, I dismissed it as my imagination and decided not to bring it up with my friend. After all, it could have just been my paranoia. But as time passed, it became clear that it wasn't just my mind playing tricks. Ethan continued to cast those furtive but insistent glances, and I genuinely didn't know how to respond. On the other hand, I've always known Maya and her vibrant personality. She was the type of person who lit up any room, bursting with energy, always surrounded by friends, and receiving a constant stream of messages on social media. Outgoing and full of life, her presence was impossible to ignore. Maya has never hidden her past relationships with intense partners, and she fully embraced her freedom. Despite this, she managed to commit and build a strong bond with Ethan. Despite the differences in our personalities, her busy social life and my more reserved nature, our friendship has remained unbreakable. I've always been her closest confidant. While I had several acquaintances, I was the one who stood by her side during all significant moments. Whether it was a family barbecue, a friend's party, or any special occasion, I was guaranteed an invitation. His home felt so familiar that it was almost like my own. Recently, however, I began to sense a shift in the dynamic among the three of us. The friendship I shared with Maya and how Ethan fit into that relationship felt different. Maya had always treated me like a sister, but now there was a new level of intimacy in the way they both included me in their plans and shared their private moments. When we got together for drinks, the atmosphere was always laid back, filled with laughter and conversations that ranged from trivial topics to unfiltered, spicy jokes. At times, I noticed Maya and Ethan exchanging more intimate banter, even during seemingly ordinary moments, like that day in the living room when we were all laughing and drinking, and they suddenly excused themselves to the bedroom for a few minutes. That evening, having had a few drinks, I confess that my curiosity got the better of me. Impulsively, influenced by the alcohol, I walked over to their bedroom door and stood there listening. The laughter and teasing that had filled the room shifted in tone, and it became clear to me what was happening on the other side. They were enjoying a spontaneous, intimate moment, something that seemed to come naturally to them, even with guests around. What surprised me the most was the effect it had on me. I felt an unusual thrill with each muffled sound and whispered laugh, and to my shock, I found myself more invested than I had anticipated. My body responded unexpectedly, as if it had a mind of its own. In that moment, the line between right and wrong felt blurred, leading to an embarrassing situation for me. I quickly returned to the living room, trying to act as if nothing had happened. Shortly after, they rejoined us, smiling and resuming the conversation as if it were just another ordinary evening. That's when I realized something within me was shifting regarding our friendship. I wasn't sure how to handle it, but the feeling became clearer when I spent a weekend at their house. If you're still enjoying our story, please comment on which city you think we're in and subscribe to this channel. They say that those who subscribe to the channel enjoy a more exciting love life. A few months later, Maya invited me over for a Saturday night barbecue, saying, "Come over, friend. Just the three of us." At first, I wasn't too keen, as I usually use Saturdays to relax, but her enthusiasm convinced me to accept. I took a refreshing shower to shake off the week's fatigue, chose some light, comfortable clothes, applied my favorite lotion, and headed to the market for beers and meat. Even after all these years of friendship, I never visited their home empty-handed. When I arrived, I honked the horn, and the gate opened automatically. Ethan was already in the garage, grilling and preparing for the evening. As soon as I parked, he came over to greet me with a wide grin. "Let's enjoy this. We have a reason to celebrate," he said, clearly excited. I stepped out of the car and hugged him, eager to know what was going on. Ethan, still buzzing with excitement, told me they had just purchased a beach house, a long-held dream for the couple. I was genuinely thrilled for them and felt a surge of joy witnessing their success. It was wonderful to share in such a significant celebration. After discussing the new house and all its details, I asked about Maya. Ethan explained that she was getting ready and would join us shortly. I took that moment to settle at the table by the barbecue, handing him the beers and meat I had brought. With a playful grin, he said, "You know, you didn't have to bring this." I replied that it was just my way of showing affection, which he already understood well. As the meat sizzled on the grill, we decided to crack open the beers and kick off the evening. Even without Maya there, Ethan played some music to create a lively atmosphere, and soon the mood was as relaxed and enjoyable as it always was when we were together. About 20 minutes later, the initial cuts of meat were ready and, predictably, perfect. Ethan has always been a master at the barbecue. I'd never tasted anything quite like it. After we savored the first round, Maya arrived, glowing with excitement. "Friend, you're here? I've missed you," she exclaimed. I stood up and playfully hugged her back. "I miss seeing you too." Just 5 days ago, she had stopped by the store to shop for clothes. As we chatted, I couldn't help but notice how stunning she looked. Maya was the type of woman who drew attention wherever she went, impeccably beautiful and well-groomed. You'd think she must be spending all her husband's money, and to be honest, that impression wasn't far off. She was radiant and just as lively as ever. She began discussing the new beach house, mentioning plans for an opening trip and making sure to invite me. That same evening, I glanced at Ethan, who laughed happily and insisted that the three of us would go together. No excuses. I replied that I would love to, but it would have to be on a weekend since I couldn't take time off work. Maya, ever full of energy, hugged me enthusiastically, and as she stepped back, she said, "Wow, you smell amazing. What perfume are you wearing?" I had barely begun to respond when she looked at Ethan and laughed, saying, "Honey, she smells incredible." I was a bit taken aback by the unexpected compliment, but I didn't want to bother Ethan, who was busy by the barbecue. He walked around the table and leaned in close, inhaling deeply near my neck, sending a shiver down my spine. Then he stepped back with a smile, saying, "It's true. This perfume is fantastic. It messes with your head." Maya agreed, laughing and saying she liked the scent too. With a smile, I explained that it was my favorite body cream, and Maya eagerly asked for the name of the product. I shared the details with her while Ethan continued to enjoy the fragrance. As the atmosphere became even more relaxed, we kept drinking, chatting, and enjoying the barbecue as if that unexpected moment of closeness had enhanced the experience. We spent hours sitting together, laughing and talking over plenty of beer. When the meat was finally ready, we gathered around the table and began discussing life. It was then that Ethan shifted the tone of our conversation and asked, "How is it that a beautiful woman like you is still single?" He was aware of my past relationship struggles. I replied casually, mentioning that I believed the right person would come along when the time was right. At that moment, I felt content, relishing my freedom and this phase of my life. I joked that, of course, loneliness sometimes creeps in, which got everyone laughing. It was then that Maya, with a teasing smile and a deeper gaze, asked, "And you? Have you ever had any experiences with a couple?" Caught off guard, I chuckled at her question and replied, "I never really thought about it. If it's hard to find one person, imagine trying to find a couple." Intrigued by where the conversation was heading, I lightly asked, "Have you ever gone through something like that?" Maya smiled and responded easily, "Yes. We've always wanted to explore this idea of bringing someone else into our relationship." Suddenly, everything started to make sense. Of course, this fit perfectly with their style. Open, laid back, and eager to seek out new adventures beyond a conventional relationship. Well, this was all new to me. I wasn't exactly surprised, but I found myself reflecting on what I had just heard, feeling a mix of curiosity and amusement. Maya then leaned in closer, grasping my hand firmly and looking directly into my eyes. "What do you think of Ethan?" she asked candidly. "Does he attract you in any way?" Her question took me by surprise, and my eyes instinctively shifted towards him. Ethan appeared calm, watching the situation unfold with a slight smile that somehow reassured me. For a brief moment, I wondered if she had misread my feelings. I had never noticed any behavior from Ethan that suggested he had particular intentions. Yes, I found him attractive and likable, but nothing beyond that. Her directness caught me off guard, especially since I was already feeling a little tipsy from the drinks. I attempted to respond lightly, not wanting to disrupt the relaxed vibe. Of course, he's a charming guy and has a great presence, right? I said with a smile, hoping to convey that I had no other interest in him. I made sure to be cautious, wanting to prevent any misinterpretation of my words or feelings of jealousy from Maya, as I knew this was a sensitive topic. Maya looked at me with a playful grin and said, "You don't need to be so careful here. You can say whatever you want without fear of judgment," she assured me. Then, she revealed something that left me utterly speechless. She mentioned that she and Ethan had already discussed who might be the ideal person to join them in this new experience. The room fell silent, everyone listening intently until she bluntly stated, "Dear friend, we truly want you to be that person in our lives. We hope to stay close to you during this moment." My face flushed, and I was left completely at a loss for words. Maya explained that she wanted this unique experience to be shared with someone she deeply trusted, someone intimate, and that person was me. I remained dazed, questioning why they had chosen me and expressing concern that such a situation might complicate things and jeopardize our friendship. With her usual calmness, she reassured me that it wouldn't create any issues. She insisted that our relationship had enough strength to handle this new challenge and that, in fact, it would only strengthen our bond. "It's just a private thing, nothing more," she remarked. "It's an experiment that Ethan and I have chosen to explore. But if you're uncomfortable, that's completely fine. Just forget this conversation ever happened." I found myself torn, unsure of how to respond to such an unexpected proposal. After a long pause, trying to process everything I had just heard, I finally said hesitantly, "Okay, I'll give it a try." Still grappling with what that meant, I added, "But if it doesn't work out, we stop, and as you said, we act like this never happened." Maya's face lit up with delight as she enveloped me in a warm hug, clearly relieved by my response. Ethan, who had been quietly observing the exchange, gave me a knowing and calm look, as if to confirm everything Maya had promised. I knew I was stepping into completely uncharted territory, but there was a certain confidence in that moment. After all, we had been friends for a long time. Without hesitation, Maya, bolder than I had imagined, leaned in and kissed me, and surprisingly, I found myself accepting it instinctively. It caught me off guard, yet there was something undeniably intriguing about that moment. We stood there kissing while Ethan watched intently from his seat. Suddenly, I heard Ethan rise from his chair and approach us. Maya paused for a moment, gently lifting my face towards him. Ethan then kissed me, and in that instant, I felt completely enveloped by the experience. The pace of events quickened, and the intensity grew as we kissed. I could feel Maya's soft kisses trailing down my neck, sending chills through my body. What began as a moment of curiosity turned into something far more than I had expected, filled with kisses and caresses. We became entirely immersed in the energy surrounding us until Maya suggested we move inside the house to get more comfortable. As soon as we entered the room, she started kissing Ethan passionately while I stood by, fully captivated by the atmosphere of that moment. The desire to be with them intensified, and everything felt perfectly aligned in that moment. With a smile, Maya called out to me, "Come on, friend. Now it's your turn." Without hesitation, I joined them, and together we embraced this experience without rushing or holding back. As Maya began to undress Ethan, I realized he was even more handsome than I had imagined. She helped me remove my clothes, and soon we were all incredibly comfortable. Ethan was an exceptional kisser, and his hands skillfully explored me while he tasted Maya. We kissed and swapped partners so seamlessly that it felt as if we had rehearsed this rhythm beforehand. Maya urged me to relax and climbed on top of Ethan, creating a surreal atmosphere. Maya kissed me and caressed my body with a tantalizing rhythm. Our scents mingled in the air, enhancing the pleasure of the moment. I soon let Maya sit down as well, but to keep the energy alive, I positioned myself over Ethan's face, driving the couple wild with desire and calling for more. The playful banter turned serious as we both leaned over the bed, eagerly awaiting our turns with Ethan. To prevent Ethan from being overwhelmed by pleasure, we took turns, ensuring he could enjoy the experience at a deep, rhythmic pace until he reached his climax, one at a time. We savored every moment until exhaustion finally overtook us, and we fell asleep together. The next morning, I woke up next to Maya. Ethan was already in the kitchen, apparently preparing breakfast for us. As Maya hugged me and smiled, she asked if I had enjoyed the previous evening and if I ever felt uncomfortable. I smiled back, expressing that it had been an incredible experience, something I had never imagined living through, and that I loved every second of it. I thanked her with a gentle kiss, and we embraced, chatting and laughing like old friends. A short while later, Ethan entered the room carrying a tray filled with a sumptuous breakfast: cake, breads, ham, cheese, and fruit. He had prepared everything with care. We kissed him in appreciation and began to savor the moment together. After breakfast, we indulged in a relaxing shower and spent the rest of the afternoon enjoying a leisurely lunch. We became deeply engrossed in conversations about life, cherishing each other's company. As the time to part ways approached, everything flowed naturally, as if it were just another delightful day among friends. Upon returning home, I reflected on how special the experience had been, with no lingering discomfort. Now I eagerly awaited Maya and Ethan's return with the keys to their new beach house so we could unlock it and enjoy an unforgettable weekend together, just the three of us.